Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 13, Episode 17. But before we get into it, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to you all who went out and supported and purchased a But I Digress mug. That really means a lot to me. A lot of you all have tagged me on Instagram, on Twitter, to let me know that you got a mug, and I am so happy. I am beyond grateful, and it has been so exciting getting the orders out to you all. I did not expect y'all to really show up and show out, okay? Like, the first day when I woke up to all those orders, I was like, all right, like y'all really mess with the doll. Like, y'all really like me. But I say all that to say thank you so much. They are really selling out, y'all. So if you have not gotten yourself a But I Digress mug and you know you want to, definitely check out the link in the description box below. That will take you to my little store and you can purchase one as well. And for everybody asking for hoodies and t-shirts and champagne flutes, one thing at a time, child, okay? I always believe in doing one thing well, then doing a whole bunch of things and they're all mediocre, okay? So again, if you have not purchased a But I Digress mug, definitely get you one. They are so cute and they're pretty and you're just gonna like it, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump right on into this recap. I'm so thankful to God that next Sunday is the season finale. They can just stick a fork in this season because we're all done. I know that I was just like the amount of desperation for camera time, the reaching that went on. It was really sad to watch, and I got even more secondhand embarrassment like last week's episode. So let me just get right on into it because we don't have a minute to spare. So we start this episode right back where we left off. That is back at Kandi and Todd's new steakhouse. They're having a tasting. And it's some awkwardness because Marlo has arrived and she's saying hello to everybody, and Porsha is very standoffish. She's annoyed. So we see Kandi thank them all for coming, and then she tells them that she wants them to come inside because they're about to start with the tasting, and that's the best part, okay? So while they're all going inside, I don't know who it was who asked where LaToya was, but we find out that the reason why LaToya isn't at the tasting because she had a stomach bug, so she's at home sick dealing with that. They all sit down ready for the food to come on out, and I think it was Shamia who was giving out those clear face shields, and I think she gave Marlo like a bedazzled jeweled one or something like that. And Marlo then apologizes for her actions at that dinner with Big Frida when they were in New Orleans. And this whole scene was just so weird to me. Like, I was cringing the whole time. I just felt like, Marlo, that wasn't the time or the place for you to apologize for your actions. Like, you're in mixed company. Kandi's family is there. You have the husbands there. Like, that just was not the time and the place for you to bring up what went down in New Orleans. Like, just shut up. Then we see Kenya ask if she can talk to Kandi for a minute. So her and Kandi go off to the side and she starts talking about her and Mark. So Kenya is saying that Mark texted her saying that he's in Atlanta for the baby's birthday. I think the baby's birthday was the next day. And she doesn't know if he's staying at the house or if he's staying at a hotel. So Kandi's kind of confused, like, well, like, where do you stay when you come to New York? And she's like, we stay at a hotel. So Kandi's just kind of confused, like, I don't understand all of this confusion around her and Mark, like, what's really going on? Kenya needs to pull the plug on this marriage. So Kandi's just listening to Kenya. Kenya's talking about she's a nervous wreck. Then we see Cynthia come on over to join them, and Kenya's telling Cynthia about how Mark is in ATL and yada, yada, yada. So Cynthia says, Kenya, it's time that you put yourself first. And I completely agreed with her and Kandi on this one. I think that Kenya needs to just cut her losses. This man has been no good. They had a beautiful baby out of their union. But other than that, she needs to let Mark know, shout out to everybody, I had fun. So we see Kenya, Kandi, and Cynthia come back to the table to join everybody else, and the food is coming out one by one. We see lobster and steak and macaroni and cheese. I will say the food did look scrumptious. I was like, okay, that is a tasting. So everybody is eating. You don't really hear a peep, and that's when you know the food is really good, when nobody's talking. So then Cynthia makes an announcement. She wants everybody to attend her and Porsha's pop-up shop to support all the Black businesses that have been impacted by COVID. So everybody's like, sure, I'll be there. Sounds great. So then Marlo jumps in and she takes the conversation to a different place. She goes on to say that she made that same dinner that they had made with Big Frida in New Orleans. She made that meal for her nephews and they absolutely loved it. Then she goes on to bring up her piss poor behavior and says, I made an ass of myself that night and I want to apologize again. Like I said, there was no reason for Marlo to bring that up at this tasting. Why are you bringing that up in front of other people who were not there? I have to say, I was never a fan of Marlo. I always found her attitude to be very off-putting. I always thought that she was very rude. But now I'm seeing that Marlo is weird and she's also heavily insecure. She's another one who likes to hide behind labels. And don't get it twisted, I love designer, I love luxury as well. But when you make that your whole personality, i.e. her, Mary Cosby from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, then it's a problem. So then Marlo goes on to talk about how she texted Porsha, and Porsha's like, oh yeah, I saw that. I was going to text you back. And then Porsha goes on to ask, and by the way, how is your back doing? Because we remember how Marlo said that her back was hurting because her nephews had jumped on her. So then Shamia jumps in and says, well, I heard from somebody who went to your same surgeon that you actually got lipo done a few days before the trip, and that's the real reason why your back was hurting. So Marlo is getting completely tripped up by Shamia's line of questioning. And Porsha and Shamia are sitting there as smugly as can be, and they are getting enjoyment out of watching Marlo squirm and backtrack. Marlo should have shut it down right then and there by saying, now, let's use our brains here. I would have said to Porsha and Shamia, y'all have both had BBLs and boob jobs, so you know that it takes a few weeks to recover and get back to doing what you're doing. So obviously, no, I did not have lipo 3 or 4 days before the trip, you clowns. Like, I would have turned it back on them. But Marlo was sitting there stammering and stuttering, huh? And what do you mean? And I think, no, so... well, what I think happened, wait, so what did you say? Marlo was doing all that and they were getting such enjoyment out of her squirming and not knowing how to answer the question. I found the scene to be very stupid. And Marlo, it was also a lesson in just keeping your mouth shut and leaving well enough alone. Had you not apologized for the second time in a row, they wouldn't have brought up the lipo thing. I was embarrassed watching Marlo squirm like that. Porsha's just chuckling and just smiling. I was like, I would never give Porsha and Shamia the satisfaction of even thinking like they're getting the best of me or make it out like I'm some liar. Absolutely not. And Porsha in her confessional trying to be all smug and talking about, well, you know, you claim that you keep it so real and X, Y, and Z, but it's like, sis, even if Marlo is lying about the lipo, which I actually don't think she is, you still have not come clean about what happened with you and Bolo. So enough already. So then we see Marlo asking one of Kandi's aunts, like, why can't me and Porsha get along? And the aunt's kind of like, look, child, like, I really don't know. So then I think it was Aunt Bertha who said something to Porsha about, I want you all to be friends or something of the sort. And then Porsha says, look, I can be cordial with everybody. I don't need to be friends with someone to enjoy a dinner. Like, I can say hi, bye, and that's it. But we're all not friends at this table, and it is what it is. So then Porsha starts high-fiving everybody at the table, and Marlo's like sticking her hand out for a high five, and Porsha is purposely ignoring her and doesn't give her one. So Marlo is visibly hurt and very upset that Porsha is purposely ignoring her and didn't give her a high five. So she tells Kandi, because they were sitting next to each other, she says to Kandi, Kandi, you know I could be mean, right? You know I could tell the truth and tell what really happened down in South Carolina and talk about how she was effing Bolo all night because you already confirmed it and I saw a few things myself. Marlo leaves abruptly, and again, I was like very reminiscent of her abruptly leaving at the dinner with Big Frida. I'm just finding Marlo to be very immature at her big age. Like, grow up. So we end the scene with them all singing happy birthday to Mama Joyce, and y'all know how I feel about Mama Joyce, so we can just move right on along. So next we see Drew and Ralph, and when I say that this had to be one of the sorriest scenes and one of the sorriest conversations that I've ever witnessed on reality TV, I was like, Drew, you sound like a straight up fool. Like, this was just so stupid to me. Anyhow, she starts telling Ralph that she no longer wants Prophet Lot to do their baby's baptism, christening. She calls it a baby blessing. She no longer wants him to do the service because she's hearing some things from her assistant, Danny, that Prophet Lot and LaToya are in some sort of relationship. So Drew goes on to fix her sorry lips talking about LaToya is tearing up the church. Then she goes on to say that she feels like it's inappropriate, and so that's why she no longer wants him to do the baby's blessing. She goes on to say that LaToya is also tearing up his relationship because Prophet Lot has a child and a fiance. That whole conversation was stupid to me, and I was getting even more annoyed with Drew as the episode went on. So next scene, it is the day of Porsha and Cynthia's pop-up event, and it's to help small Black businesses in Atlanta that were greatly impacted by COVID. So we see Marlo arrive, and she is trying to support everybody, okay? She's buying a shirt from Daiwan. She's going on over to Kenya's booth with Kenya Moore Hair Care, buying stuff, and I think she makes a joke about how Kenya said that her edges were like non-existent. So then she goes over to Porsha's booth because you guys know that Porsha now has like bedding. And she's like, I would like to buy some king size sheets. What colors do you have? So Porsha is taken aback that Marlo is supporting her. Enemy or not, if somebody's going to buy my product, the least you can do is put a smile on and say thank you. Like, all of this, well, that was weird, like, being all weird about it. Like, girl, just say thank you to her and take her money. Like, why is that so hard? So Drew is there, and Kandi comes over to her booth because I think that Drew has, her product deals with, like, playing music for kids to put them to sleep, something like that. So then Drew says to Kandi, girl, I gotta tell you some mess that went down. She's letting Kandi know that she had to reschedule the baby blessing because LaToya is now in a relationship with Prophet Lot. Kandi's like, girl, what? So then we see in another scene, Drew was telling Cynthia what happened, and she's letting her know that she had to reschedule the baby's blessing because LaToya and the prophet are in some relationship. Cynthia's like, wait, what? So everybody is just confused. And then we see LaToya arrive, and Kandi comes over to LaToya and is like, girl, I heard that you're in a new relationship. So LaToya is like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about, but what I do know is that I signed up for this 6-week healing course with the prophet. That's it, and that's all. Like, ain't no funny business being had. Like, I did not sleep with that man. We are not in any relationship. So then we see all the ladies head on over to Cynthia's wine bar. If you live in Atlanta, can you let me know down in the comments if Cynthia's wine bar is even open? Like, every time she films a scene there, it seems like nobody's there. Like, is it a liquor store and a wine bar? Like, what is it exactly? I feel like all of Cynthia's businesses are a mess. Like, she's really trying to make a quick dollar, but it really doesn't pan out. Like, the Bailey agency was a fool. She was not getting any of those girls modeling contracts, okay? She was there to get money out of those girls, but I digress. So Cynthia pours up wine for all the ladies. She even pours up some wine for LaToya. Shamea makes a remark about, oh, LaToya, you're drinking now? LaToya's like, yup, yes, I am. I have to say, after this season, I don't care to see Shamea anymore. I really liked Shamea once upon a time, but she has gotten on my nerves as well. Like, she's not bringing anything, and her just trying to insert herself in the shade and the mess is like, okay, girl, I liked you better when I didn't know anything about you, but now I'm like, y'all told me to watch Kandi's latest speak on it, and I watched it, and Don Juan and Carmen let the cat out the bag that Porsha didn't even get Shamea on the show. It was Kandi who got Shamea on the show. So I said, wow. I said, Shamea should be riding hard for Kandi, to be honest with you, and not Porsha. But again, I digress. So Cynthia thanks them all for coming out and supporting the Black businesses. And of course, the conversation goes left because Drew brings up all this nonsense about LaToya and Prophet Lot. LaToya is just so annoyed. She's like, you know what? I'm not even going to sit here and entertain this girl and this stupidity coming out of her mouth. So Drew then goes on to say, Cynthia told me that you told her that you were seeing somebody who's from Texas and the prophet is from Texas. So Cynthia's kind of like, now hold on now. Like, you know how Cynthia gets when her name is inserted in some mess. So then Drew goes on to talk about how the prophet is no longer with his fiance and goes on to say that LaToya is a Delilah and she has a Delilah spirit. So I was just kind of like, really? This scene really pissed me all the way off. I really hate how women love to give men passes for cheating and leaving, but they're mad at the other woman. Stop being mad at the other woman and be mad at the man. The man is the one who committed to you and said he was going to be loyal to you and only you. Why are you getting mad at the other woman? Even if LaToya did come between the prophet and his fiance, that's not LaToya's fault. That's the prophet's fault. He's the one who knows that he's engaged, that he's with somebody. I'm really tired of women like Drew who like to place blame on the other woman. That really pisses me off. I've never been the type to want to fight another woman or be upset at the other woman. I really hope that women break out of that awful line of thinking, and that also gives very much a pick-me spirit when you want to blame the other woman and not blame the man. I don't like Kandi. I don't agree with her often, but she hit the nail on the head when she said, okay, and what if this were true about LaToya and the prophet? At the end of the day, the prophet is a grown-ass man. And if he made the decision to leave his fiance, that's on him. Like, why are you blaming this on LaToya? You need to worry about your marriage. You need to worry about where Ralph is, because you still haven't gotten answers to where he was when he was in Tampa. I'm finding Drew to be a loser. Like, she's just very weird and she's very passive aggressive. On one note, you want to act like you care so much about LaToya, you're worried about her, you want to make sure that she's okay with her drinking. Then the next minute, you're sitting up there trying to berate her, saying that she's breaking up families, breaking up churches. Like, girl, which one is it? It's giving you have this sort of obsession with her. It's weird. I was just too done. I said, Drew, you really sound like a grade A fool. And you really sounded foolish trying to blame LaToya for the reason why the baby's baptism / christening has now been moved and postponed. Like, this really is a non-issue. All it takes is another phone call to someone else, say, hi, could you please do the blessing for my baby? That's it. Cynthia said it right. Just get another pastor, minister, prophet to do the ceremony. Why is that so hard? So we get to the final scene of the night and we see that Kenya is expecting the girls over. So we see Cynthia show up, then Marlo shows up. Marlo's excited because this is her first time being at Moore Manor. Kandi arrives, and then LaToya arrives as well. So they all head on into the house, and they're all like, okay, girl, like, where is the food? Kenya invited these girls over with no food. I was like, I just thought that everybody knew that when you entertain, you need to have food for your guests. I don't care if you're having one person over, 300 people over, 50 people over, you need to have some food. Like, that's just common sense. I was like, Kenya, that's really unacceptable to me. Like, come on. And then Marlo ended up Uber eating some pizza and wings. But it was like, the guests shouldn't have to do that. Like, you're the host. Like, you need to have some food for them. Like, come on, sis. You're 0 for 2 now because South Carolina with no food and now this. Like, come on. Kenya fans, don't start. Okay, because I had to be fair and I have to get on her when she gets silly. And that was very silly for her not to have any food, but I digress. Kenya lets them know that she got her boobs done. They all start joking about now they can motorboat or something. And Cynthia's like, wait, what's motorboating? Like, is that teabagging? And they're all like, girl, you don't know what motorboating is? So then LaToya, of course, being extra, she does a demonstration on Cynthia. And so Cynthia's like, okay, now I know what motorboating is. And they're all laughing. So then the ladies ask Kenya, how was baby Brooklyn's party? And Kenya's like, it was great. Kandi was there. And so they go on to ask Kenya if her and Mark had sex that night. And Kenya plays coy and she doesn't answer. So my guess is that they did not have any sex. But I digress. So they start trying to probe about her relationship and what's going on. Are you going to divorce? Like, what's going on between you two? And Kenya reads a text message from Mark and he says how he wants to come to Atlanta weekly and he wants to attend counseling. So I guess it's a step in the right direction. So they're like, oh, okay, cool. So now, child, the whole issue about the pop-up shop and the drama that went down comes into conversation. Kenya says Drew needs to come off of her high horse. LaToya says that Drew needs to worry about herself. And she does, because she has a whole host of things to worry about. So LaToya is like, I'm a FaceTime Prophet Lot right now. We're going to set the record straight. She FaceTimes Prophet Lot. The ladies all say hello. And pretty much Prophet Lot was like, everything that Drew is saying is a lie. Like, we did not sleep together. I'm not in love with you, LaToya. All we did was just, I'm helping you with counseling. I just don't understand why Drew's assistant would get messy like this and put this out in the atmosphere, because none of this is true. So then Kandi goes on to ask if he was engaged, and he's like, yes, I was engaged 3 years ago, but I am no longer engaged. So pretty much Prophet Lot is just saying that there is no truth to anything about LaToya breaking up a happy home because he was already single prior to even meeting LaToya. Drew, you should be embarrassed. I want you to hold this L, because all this episode showed was that you are a passive-aggressive liar who will do anything and say anything to stay on this show. I really hope that Kenya tears you up limb from limb, piece by piece at this reunion because you are a true clown. Y'all, I cannot wait for this finale. I will be happy when this season is all wrapped up. But again, thank you all for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And again, if you haven't purchased a But I Digress coffee mug, definitely hit the link below in the description box, and you already know what to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.